Mount Rainier is huge, more than 14,000 feet high, and is considered one of the most dangerous volcanoes in the world, in part because it's so close to a large population center. Mount Rainier is closely monitored.
Earthquake.
So when the ShakeAlert warning system went off around midnight, this is what it looked and sounded like. This West Coast system is still being evaluated before its public rollout, but it did function. And it correctly said it was not going to cause shaking in Seattle.
It definitely builds confidence in the system and makes us very excited that this is going to be a very valuable service to the Pacific Northwest.
Mouse Roush coordinates ShakeAlert at the University of Washington. The magnitude 3 that triggered ShakeAlert was the biggest of 6 small quakes detected in the last 48 hours northwest of the mountain. But when ShakeAlert goes public, they'll probably make it less sensitive.
We're looking at right now possibly a minimum threshold of 4.5 for the actual rollout that we're trying to do this year.
Now, ShakeAlert covers Washington, Oregon, and California. Up here in the Northwest, there have been about a dozen smaller quakes that the system has accurately tracked in the last year since they sort of first went online. It's not available publicly yet, but as we said, that's coming.
It will be soon. So do these quakes mean that there is an eruption happening or coming soon?
No, and they're very common. So one of the explanations that I've heard for years is Mount Rainier is so big, it's so heavy, it's so large, it actually cracks some of the surrounding crust around it. This is about 7 miles down, this magnitude 3. Plus the state is constantly being pushed and shoved in a northeasterly direction, so everything is always under stress, and you will get these kind of mini swarms. We actually have more of these kind of small quakes down by Mount St. Helens, but this is more crustal, this is not volcanic.
How much warning will this system give us?
So it depends on where you are. So if you're sitting on top of the epicenter of the earthquake, you're not going to get any warning. But the further you are away, and once you can tell the system, I'm here, it will say, oh, there's an earthquake over here, and you will have X number of seconds, maybe a minute or more, depending on how far away it is. Again, this thing accurately said, there's not going to be any shaking here. But when you start to get around a 4.5, a 5, you can start to have cracks in the walls, you can start to have stuff knocked off your shelves. I remember covering a magnitude 5 up by Deming several decades ago, visiting a woman who had a business making green pottery. All that pottery was on the floor and it was all broken.
So even if you get 30 seconds warning, that's 30 seconds you can duck under a table.
To protect yourself.
Right, you can turn off the gas stove, that kind of thing.
Those are all true, and that's what you would do in home. But when you think about, some of this will be set up automatically. So one of the examples that's used all the time is at a fire station. So you're going to need the fire trucks and the ambulances to respond to the disaster. You don't want them locked inside the building because the building shifts and the doors are closed. So this will automatically open the doors so you can get the trucks out. It could automatically slow down trains. We've talked a lot about positive train control. This could potentially be built in there. So you can do all sorts of things. Surgery, you could have surgeons stop. It's just, the list is just endless.
Can't
Well, great
wait.
information.
Can't wait.
Thank you for the info, Glenn.